Hello everyone, it's Pastor Jeremiah with another vibrant 5-minute moment. And today we are going to talk about how to begin creating an empowering culture within our church. When I first started in ministry, the only model of leadership and culture that I saw was a micromanaging system. This was a culture where one leader sets the vision, makes all the decision, and ultimately does the most of the work themselves. So most of us probably can relate to this kind of system, this micromanagement culture. We can relate because over the past 60 plus years, this has been the traditional style of leadership within most churches or ministries. So maybe you can relate because you've served under a micromanagement leader, or maybe you can relate because you yourself have become that leader, either from example or maybe even out of necessity. So the question is, how can we make the shift from having a micromanaging culture to an empowering culture in order for our churches to experience vibrant renewal? Jesus gave us the best example of empowerment from the Great Commission. He says, "Therefore go and make disciples of all the nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything that I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always to the very end of the age." So the first principle we see from the Great Commission when empowering people is to empower your leaders with clear instructions and goals. Empowering people with no instruction and no destination will only ever lead to frustration and disconnect, both for you, the leader, as well as your team. So if you're going to empower people, start with helping your leaders identify the goal and then together come up with a strategy to be able to obtain that goal. The second principle we see from the Great Commission is Jesus stepping back and trusting his team to fulfill the Great Commission. See, if as a leader you give your team a task to accomplish and then you keep stepping in to correct it or to take over, which is by nature what micromanaging is, then you are communicating to your team that I have no confidence in your ability and I do not trust you to accomplish this task well. And this kind of interference will ultimately destroy your team, destroy your culture, as well as destroying your credibility as a leader. So, as a leader, we need to learn to step back like Jesus did and let them do the ministry that they've been given to do. Allow your team to work through the process. Allow them to even fail, and then allow them to pick up the pieces by themselves and put it back together. And finally, as a leader, be there for your team. Let them know that you are there to support them and that you are there to help them in any way that they need you to, but only if they ask. Jesus said, "Listen, surely I am here with you always." So let's recap just real quick. If you want to begin to creating an empowering culture in your church, you have to, first of all, empower your leaders with clear instructions and goals. Secondly, trust your team to accomplish the task you've empowered them to do. And finally, be available to support and encourage your team as they need it. Imagine if we as leaders would begin to come to this place where we stopped leading with this micromanaging style of leadership and began to empower our teams and leaders to do greater things. We would start seeing greater things like greater growth, greater fruit, and ultimately a greater kingdom coming here in our communities just as it is in heaven. So join us again next time for another vibrant 5-minute moment. It's been good being with you. I'm Pastor Jeremiah, and have a blessed day.